Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Vivid Earth. I'm back in Cape Town. I'm back into the saddle, in the saddle. And I know I've been quiet, but it's been impossible while I was traveling to do any meaningful updates. So, yeah, I've been gone for a week, but I'm back. And wow, what a whirlwind tour this was in Gauteng or Joburg and Mpumalanga, two areas in the north of South Africa. And it was a very interesting trip. It was kind of a pleasure being up there. You know, I used to practically live in Joburg years ago when I had my business. I was there 2, 3 times a month, and it was just a place where I spent a lot of time because that's where most of the business in South Africa was particularly in the luxury industry in which I was, immersed. And I had a lot of clients up there. And so inevitably, everyone always said, but why don't you move to Joburg? You'll have so many more opportunities. And I was just like, well, I love Cape Town. I love Joburg too, but not to live. So, and I love the people up there. So it was a beautiful experience. We had 2 1-day Qigong serenity retreats, which was absolutely amazing. And it was, yeah, quite beautiful to see people immerse themselves into this transformative experience and find the peace within and learn new skills that they can take away with them that can keep them grounded and centered and build a strong root because we need strong roots for what's to come. And yeah, it was a beautiful experience, beautiful locations. Both retreats were in absolutely amazing locations, very different from each other. And there was a lot of connection with the land and, connecting with ancestors and ancient wisdom. And then, of course, I was off to another little adventure, which is about 3 hours away in a place called Adam's Calendar. And there's two sacred sites about 45 minutes apart. So the one was Adam's Calendar in a little town called Kaapstad in Gauteng, no less. And this was a phenomenal experience. I was blown away by the knowledge and the wisdom shared, and of course, all the science behind it. And the fact that, people overlook that this stone circle is actually the real birthplace of humanity, not Stonehenge, not whatever else they're telling you, not the pyramids of Giza or wherever else. Humanity in its current form was conceived in this place. The DNA experimentation was done there by the Anunnaki, and humanity in its current form was born. So, whether we look with positive eyes or negative eyes at the Anunnaki, the fact of the matter is they are responsible for our DNA code as it stands at the moment. And, whether you look at it as good or bad, there's good to be found in everything. And we wouldn't be here today without that experimentation that happened. And there's a whole bunch of other things there. I'm going to do a short, sort of very basic documentary because I'm no filmmaker, but I've captured a lot of the information and the wisdom, and I've filmed each place and the experience. And all I can say, it's mind blowing. The energy in this stone circle is so strong that there was once a small plane that flew over it, and because of, I think it's 300 gigahertz of power emanating from the stone circle, it made the plane crash. Like it was that big. So there is a vortex and a star gate in the stone circle that is perfectly aligned with the stars, the moon, the sun. Um, it lines up with Orion, Draco, interestingly. We do have Draco DNA, so, we shouldn't disown any part of ourselves because it is truly what made humanity what we are today. And we are the biggest experiment in the universe because we are about to raise our frequency to become higher dimensional beings and a higher dimensional planet completely organically. And we've been busy with this process for quite some time. And I know most of you have been watching the Schumann resonance. You've been watching the geomagnetic sort of weather, if you will. And there's been a lot going on, not only in terms of the Schumann resonance spiking like it's on fire for the past few years, actually. But also solar flares, geomagnetic activity, CME is incredible. And we've had quite significant ones in the past few days. Now, I didn't know that, I didn't plan it this way, to be there on the fifth portal, the 5th of May at Adam's calendar, but that's how it worked out. And they said there are no coincidences, right? So the 5-5 portal was very significant, because 5-5 means change. It means transformation. It means, finally turning the corner and moving up and out. And there's a few other interesting explanations and insights on this portal, but it's safe to say this is a very important portal. So it just happened to be that way, that I was there on the 5th of the 5th in the stone circle. And for me, it was all about remembrance, remembering ancient, stories of creation. I felt like I had a connection to the land there. I'm still working those details out, and I still feel like I'm in the midst of that activation that happened there, because that is what happens when you're in a place like that. You get activated. Old remembrances start to filter through. You start to connect with certain things. Your DNA gets activated. So I was very grateful to be there. It was absolutely profound. It's the only way I can sum it up. And yeah, I feel like, I was called there. And interestingly, our friend Richard Cardinal, I just this morning listened to a video of him also talking about that we're going through a phase of remembrance. And this is so interesting because it perfectly aligns with what I've been sort of up to in the last few days. And interestingly, also my astrologer also mentioned that, I would be going there for a certain remembrance that will take place. So this is very interesting. There was another stone circle ruin that we visited as well, about 45 minutes apart. And this place has also been known as a fertility circle, as a healing circle. Literally, people have traveled there from all over the world to get healing. And there's a lady that cured herself of cancer just by spending time in this circle. So it was quite incredible. And interestingly, that the rock used for both sites cannot be found. It's not native to the land at all. Like, there isn't dolerite that was used for these stones, are nowhere present in South Africa. So, and these are huge, huge rock stones, if you want to call it that. So how did they get these, 5,000 tons, whatever these stones weigh, all the way there? How did they get it all the way there? That's the question. If we have to follow the story that the mainstream narrative has been telling us, and the history books and the science books, then how did that happen? Can they explain that? No, they don't. They don't explain that at all. And they don't explain, any of the things that science have now found, because people have gone in there and measured the frequency, and it's off the charts. It's also, both of these sites are built on ley lines, and both of them line up with other sacred sites. There are 303 of these sacred sites around the world, the Great Pyramid of Giza being one of them, and it actually aligns perfectly with the Pyramid of Giza. And as I said, it's the only working calendar in the world. In other words, this stone calendar is working perfectly and is laid out according to the 13 astrological signs, not 12. If you have been doing this research, you'll know that there is a 13th sign that have been buried and hidden from us. So this stone circle is built according to the 13 astrological signs, not 12, and aligns perfectly with the sun and the moon, and also aligns up with the equinoxes and the solstices. So, wow, mind blown, absolutely mind blown, I tell you. But I'm not going to say too much more about it now, except to say it was absolutely phenomenal. I'm thinking of taking a group back there because of um, the fact that it is so activating, it is so healing. That and I know a lot of people want to go, so I'm going to look at taking a group there. I'm not sure when. I would really love to be there on the winter solstice on the 21st of June. But I don't know, it's not might not be realistic in terms of timing. But if you are interested, just pop me a mail at live@vividearth.org and I'll see if I can get some people together, enough people together to make it work. Yeah, the guide that showed us around was absolutely phenomenal as well. So in tune, apart from just the basic information, how it lines up with everything else that we've been learning on this awakening journey about resonant frequencies. And this dolerite rock has got hollow crystals on the inside, and that is actually what is not emitting, but enhancing the frequency that's coming out of the earth. And then the cymatic patterns in which they were shaped and packed, the circle, enhances the energy from the earth and shoots it up. So, wow. There's so much more I can tell you, but I'm not going to do that right now. Suffice to say, it was an incredible experience. So, guys, I've not been very present. I have not had much time for updates or to see what's going on in the world. I've been rather preoccupied. So, what's been happening? How are you guys doing? Look, we are at the precipice, really, of a big global event happening. Again, I'm not talking about dates. I'm not saying when it's going to be, but it looks like it is pretty soon. Also, if we look at the solar flares, it's kind of lining up with this buildup as well. The solar flares, there's a lot of light energy that came in, I think it was yesterday. A lot of release of toxins. When you look at the red aspects in the Schumann graph, where red means a release of toxic energy, basically. So this, we will feel in the body as the release of toxins, as the relief of toxic emotions, and all of the above. So if you felt a little bit crappy yesterday, you know why. And it's all good because we need to have this stuff released. We are literally upgrading in incremental stages and phases every single day right now. Now, in terms of whether we're going to see a black swan or a white swan event, I think it's clear for all to see that the death of the Pope was a signal that we are moving on to the next phase. In fact, that we are moving in the last phase of this worldwide military operation. Now, I'm not saying everything is going to be love and light, by the end of the year. We're still going to be dealing with a lot of stuff because you can't change people's mentality overnight. You simply can't. So there will be stuff that we'll be dealing with, but things are going to get a lot better and a lot more exciting, and it's going to get a lot easier, when this next phase is complete. So be assured and be encouraged about that things are moving in the right direction. We've perhaps been naive in the last few years to think there will be one single event, everything will be sorted out, and after that, everyone will be happy and high vibrational and live in peace and harmony together. It cannot happen this easily. And, I had some interactions in Joberg that was perhaps, sent my way as well. Some, I wouldn't call it altercations, but it just highlighted to me that how much work the collective still has to do before we can live in peace and harmony. Literally, some people are very, very far from that reality, unfortunately. And whether a big solar flare will come and burn away all that negativity and false beliefs and false realities, I don't know. It's very, very possible. But at this stage, as we see the solar flash rolling out in incremental stages and not being one big flash, but incrementally being spread out so that it's a little bit easier for most people, that we don't have, the major loss of life, because many people's bodies won't be able to take it. So it's rolling out slowly but surely, in order to ensure as many people as possible are on board. But there may be a final push or a few final pushes. It's literally like giving birth, to a new earth. There are going to be some birth pains, but when that new baby is born, it's going to be the most beautiful thing that has happened. And this is what we're seeing right now. So in order to have all the beauty and the joy and the beautiful new reality, the beautiful new earth, we are still going to have to go through some birth pains. So, and we have to do the work as well, because this process very much depends on us, because we are the ones that are awake and aware. So we have to do the work for the collective. That's what we signed up for. Yes, this is not about us. This is about the entire planet. This is about not service to self, but service to others. How can we serve? How can we better serve the collective, the planet, the universe? Because this will have a universal impact, not just for this planet, but the entire universe. And that's why we have so much benevolent interdimensional help in the background, I might say. They can't interfere in obvious ways because it's a free will planet, but they are helping a lot. And a lot of them are facilitating light codes to hit the planet, which is both information and knowledge and transformation. That's the effect that it has on our bodies and our minds and our dimensional existence. So with that, little bits of the matrix start burning away until we can confidently enter this new era. Whether you call it 1,000 years of peace or whatever you call it, it's going to be a much more beautiful, peaceful, harmonious time on this planet for a very long time, and somehow affect the duality that we're living with currently. Because at the moment there is a lot of light and there's a lot of dark on this planet, and both are interacting. Our entire reality is based on a magnetic propulsion, which creates everything in the micro and the macro, from the smallest cells that you can't even see to the bigger universe. It's all about protons and neutrons that are interacting, positive and negative interacting, like a battery. Like we are like a battery, and it's like positive and negative is pumping literally through our meridians 24/7. And that's what creates the toroidal field, because each of us have a toroidal field that most people can't see, but other people can see inklings of that, what they would call your aura, right? And your aura is much bigger than you. Your whole toroidal field can interact and overlap with other people's toroidal fields. And that's why it's so important to protect your energy. That's why it's so important to shine your light, because if you do, you affect people around you. And that's what a lot of the light workers and light warriors and light houses have had to do, as part of their mission, as part of this rescue mission on the planet. So it is just a phenomenal time to be alive. And remember, we have to work at it as well. It's not all love and light. We have to address the shadows inside. And that is no criticism to you, because a lot of this stuff has been inherited through our bloodlines, been passed along, trauma through the umbilical cord, from mother to child, and the cycle keeps going. So not all of the stuff is even yours. It's just there, and we don't judge it. We just gradually transform it, alchemize that energy within ourselves, bring up the shadows, work through them. And as soon as you can face your shadows and transform them, you're doing something incredible for the collective as well. So this is an inside-out job, and as within, so without. So we want to change our world. We've got to change ourselves as well. It's easy to think, everything's perfect. I'm awakened and I'm enlightened. And the fact is, none of us are ascended masters at this point. We all have work to do. We've all got to work on our personal transformation as well as the collective transformation. So, that's why I don't have any expectations on timelines. Literally, I make sure that I'm not dependent on anyone for my happiness, for my survival, for my everything. I take full responsibility. I, you know, I produce my own happiness from within. I don't need people. I don't need things. I don't need events to make me happy. And if you've been waiting and you're at this point very, very frustrated and perhaps angry, perhaps you are exhausted, it means that you're not living in the present, that you're not living in the now moment, that you're living in expectation of future events that you don't know when it's going to happen. And people have been telling you, oh, it's going to happen next Tuesday. Yeah, that's great. But, I'm not counting on it. I'm not banking on it. I will be happy now. I will be abundant now. I will be content now. I'll make it happen in this now moment. That's where the good stuff lies. Then you're not chasing, you're attracting. Because we all know chasing things, waiting for things, longing for things to happen does not make it happen faster. In fact, you are delaying it. So we have been also responsible for the delay of this rollout to some extent. So therefore, we've got to change our state of mind, our state of being, from waiting and longing and wishing to just being in the now moment, feeling that peace, feeling that love and harmony, and feeling that abundance right now. Because that's how manifestation works. It doesn't work by wishing. It doesn't work by hoping. Those emotions are, in fact, just going to keep it away from you. I know it's a conundrum. I know it's difficult, but that's what we're here to master. We are literally here to master those things, how to organically pull ourselves out of this lower density into a higher density and to keep it there, to keep ourselves there. We're still, yo-yoing in and out, and that's part of the process. But for the most part, we've got to be focusing on anchoring in every moment, like literally anchoring that light, that high frequency as much as possible. And when our soul requires us to dive deep inside and to check out the mud and the swamp at the bottom, we do that without fear, without prejudice, without judgment. We look at it, we recognize it, we feel it, we let it go forever. There's no need to hold on to it. There's no need to keep visiting and revisiting. The sooner you can learn that lesson, the sooner it's going to manifest into your reality. So that's my pep talk for the day. What else is happening? In the financial news, there's a lot happening. But maybe give you guys a quick update of what's been happening on the financial and the RV side. It's interesting to watch and to know that it's making progress. Not about expectations, like when is it happening? Oh, I'm on my last few dollars. When is it happening? No, don't rely on that. I always say, if you want to invest in any of these things, be prepared to lose it all. Like tell yourself, before you buy the gold, before you buy the XRP, before you buy the bonds, be prepared to lose it all with no regrets. Although I don't think all of this is, not going to happen. But I don't spend money that I can't afford to lose. That's just an investment principle 101. Okay. So what's been happening? Everyone's waiting for Iraq to revalue first before the global currency revaluation, before can really happen on a large scale. So Iraq, as we know, will be first. Their currency have been suppressed and undervalued for literally decades. So they're going to be the first to revalue. And also a lot of mayhem and destruction has been sown in that country artificially to keep the currency down, amongst other things. But we know, for example, in Qatar, the same happened. They created war in that country. They created destruction. All investment pulled out. The currency plummeted. And when was it revalued? It was quite a few years ago. I would say maybe even a few decades. It could have been, I can't remember now. I can't remember the year. Too much information in my head, but it may be 2-3 decades ago. And their currency revalued. And a lot of people made a lot of money. So that's just something to watch. According to just some recent bullet points outlined by Professor William Liebenberg, the development, this is about Iraq and BRICS. So the development has put BRICS member China's attempts to push the Chinese yuan for trade in Iraq on hold. So for the uninitiated, the US Federal Reserve makes many decisions on behalf of the Central Bank of Iraq. So you want that control completely removed because at the moment they are still being manipulated into that situation because money can be stopped at any point from moving hands or moving across borders because the SWIFT system is controlled by the cabal, right? So that is why. So Iraq's oil revenues are deposited in the US Federal Reserve. The funds will then be transferred by the feds to the Central Bank of Iraq following a process meaning total manipulation and control. Therefore, the feds have leverage and decision-making power along with the Iraqi government and the Central Bank of Iraq officials. Since 2023, the Central Bank of Iraq has been taken several measures to stabilize its local currency and native economy. They've done many, many different things already to prepare for this revaluation. The US Federal Reserve has mandated Iraq to cease dealing in Chinese yuan, alleging irregularities and certain problems in transactions, said Baghdad Provincial Council member Muan al-Kadhimi in a press statement while discussing BRICS member China. Many decisions by the Central Bank of Iraq, as imposed by the US Federal Reserve, BRICS country China has been pushing the Chinese yuan for oil deals with developing countries. The BRICS nation has been offering help through the Belt and Road Initiative. Countries in Asia and Africa have received billions of in loans to build infrastructure and ports from China. Therefore, China found it easier to push the Chinese yuan for deals and strengthen the currency along with its economy. So the cabal Fed experts exert more control. In July last year, the Fed prohibited Iraq from using its dollars and its yuan. With Iraq now checkmated, not having their own currency on Forex, the cabal refused them using the yuan to sell oil. And what's more, they dictate to Iraq now how, where, and when to use their fiat dollar, or else the oil export account controlled by the Fed gets blocked. So you see? So this week, the American Fed Reserve ordered Iraq to cease its transactions in Chinese yuan. Now, remember, a lot of this is posturing because if you have been here for a few years, you will know that the Fed Reserve is actually already gone. It's already been rolled into the Treasury, the US Treasury, because it's just actually a fake corporation, just like many other things. But, things have to be done legally and one step at a time to make sure stability is maintained. So the Fed Reserve cited divergences and specific problems related to transactions. This is reminiscent of 2001, when Saddam Hussein decided to sell his oil exclusively in euros rather than dollars. And who got the blame for that 9/11 thing? No one other than Saddam Hussein. Hence, by the way, the French opposed to the Second Gulf War. At that time, that is only 2 years after Saddam Hussein's decision, the Americans invaded Iraq under a false pretext to save the petrodollars. Iraqi oil was again dominated in dollars immediately after the capture of Baghdad. For more than 20 years now, the central bank of the conquered country has been regularly forbidden to use its large dollar reserves. Iraqi banks must go through the SWIFT network, which requires final authorization from the Fed. The latter can block any payment from the Iraqi central bank and does not hesitate to do so. So they have to play ball, they have to do everything the cabal or the Fed Reserve wants it to do, otherwise it gets cut off and blocked. So Iraq has been in the same situation as Iran and Russia, actually. Its dollar foreign reserves are partially frozen and its transactions via the SWIFT network depend on Washington's goodwill. It's therefore evident that the country of the two rivers would well join the BRICS. The deputies favoring such an approach belong to the Shia coordination framework. This is an alliance of parties supported by Iran, forming the backbone of the current government. The idea is also gaining traction among other political forces. One of the member of parliament, Oil and Energy Committee, last year already said that joining the BRICS should be a national priority. So such integration could limit the dominance of the US dollar. We could see ourselves free ourselves from financial and commercial restrictions imposed by Washington, she said. Indeed, moving away from the dollar and the SWIFT network is also a BRICS priority. Okay, what else? So all of these things have been going on in the background, and as you can see, it is complex. There is many, many different boxes to tick. So those getting, all their knickers into a knot don't fully understand the complexity of what's going on. The entire world financial system and control of powers are shifting. And this is not a small thing. And the death of the Pope was a very important marker. Now you'll see a lot of things going on, with Canada and a few other countries. Carney saying that basically he's spoken to the owners of Canada and Canada is not for sale. Now one would ask, who's the owners, Carney? Mr. President Carney or Prime Minister Carney, who are the owners? Well, we all know who the owners are. We know that is the Crown Corporation, right? So perhaps this is a slow rollout to expose the fact that Canada is not a free country. It's not a sovereign country at all. Like many other countries, it's not sovereign. And that is a perfect place to start, I guess, because it's close to the US. And that's going to just blow the Crown Corporation's, hidden plan out of the water. And what will then follow? Then you'll get Australia, you will get other Commonwealth countries and Crown colonies, even South Africa. All of these things are going to be revealed, and people are going to say, well, why are we Crown colonies or corporation? Why are we in the Commonwealth? Again, remind me why it's beneficial for our country. Yeah, so it's going to be revealing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of other things that are mentioned also regarding the payment system of BRICS, the M-Bridge project that they've been busy with. And they did say that this will operate with central bank digital currencies. A lot of us have been very scared of the mere word CBDCs, but I think they may use that in a different way, not as a way of control, but rather as a way to transact across different countries with ease, not using the SWIFT system. We know Ripple's also being prepared, I believe, in the background to replace the SWIFT system. So there is just so much going on in the financial markets that's being prepared right now. And it certainly is very, very interesting. So all of this is just, it's going to be like dominoes. It literally will be like dominoes, because when the first domino falls, have you seen those mega domino structures? Like literally thousands of dominoes. But the first domino has to fall for things to start. And every domino has to wait its turn. It cannot fall before certain others are falling. We're seeing the beginning and the ongoing falling of dominoes, but it has to happen in the right way, in the right format. in the right structure, and that is just what needs to happen. In the meantime, if we take more of 40,000 foot view, this will all seem like small fry, and even though it may feel like an eternity, in the higher realms, it's not an eternity at all. It's a minute. It's a speck in time. There isn't time, right, in higher dimensions, but if there were. So just hang in there, guys. This time is needed for us to transform. And we're going to be that catalyst for the rest of the civilization to follow. Because like the 100th monkey effect, our raising of consciousness and our light will permeate the field to such an extent that everyone else will benefit in the process as well. That's how you influence the transformation of an entire civilization. And that is what's currently happening. It's not something that happens overnight. Even if you think in your mind, this is a simple process, it is not. And it takes however long it takes. Because we're part of this process, like I reminded you before. We are part of this process. For years, I've been saying, the White Hats need you as well in this process. You are part of this transformation on Earth. That's why you came here. That's why you woke up early. That's why you feel like you're not from here. You're a starseed. What am I doing here in this very dense, dark place? Because you came here as a light warrior to flip the system, to anchor in this new Earth, to uplift this entire planet, Mother Gaia, to help transform it into a higher dimensional planet. That's why we came here. That's what we signed up for. And it was only the bravest and the strongest that were alive to sign up for this mission, because failure was not an option, right? The galaxy had to send its strongest troops, its most experienced troops, its most resilient, its strongest troops to come here on this mission to Earth to help with the transformation. So guys, just hang in there and also cultivate your neutrality. Your sense of neutrality is very important. Otherwise, you're going to be an emotional wreck every day. And there's enough reason to be. But we have to be strong. We have to be neutral if we want to effect change on Earth. So that's why cultivating that sense of neutrality, which Buddha always speaks about, is so important. We have to become masters of our own reality first before we can master anything else. Master yourself. That is a process in itself. Not an easy one, but it's one that every one of you have the potential to do. So hold the line, hold the light. We are getting there slowly but surely. And things are looking very positive. Things are moving, guys. So don't get down and into the dumps about things. Keep your vibration high. Imagine this new Earth. Every day, spend some time imagining what this new Earth is going to look like. It's all we can do. I know there's still stuff out there. I know there's still chemtrails and dimming of the sun, and they will do whatever they can to stop the light codes from coming in. But they are failing, and we are winning. We are winning. Don't you ever forget that. So you know what to do. Shine your light, raise your vibration. I'm not going to go through any of the other news. I just thought a little bit of the financial news would be important. But this May is going to get very, very interesting. So we'll see what happens. This black swan or white swan may well be imminent. And also with the blackouts in Europe, I believe that is possibly a test, possibly a warning to say to people, you better keep some supplies on hand. The UK has already announced that its citizens have to keep emergency supplies on hand. They've been doing that a few times now, including recently in the last couple of weeks. Why did they do that? And now that the first rolling blackout events happened in Europe, people are more like, oh, okay, I better take this seriously. I better get my supplies in place. But they're also testing. Also, as part of that is also testing the new system lot of banks have been going down, gone back up. A lot of all these cyber attacks. I don't believe they are cyber attacks at all. Well, maybe they are, but they strategize by the white hats to flip systems over to the quantum system. So all of these things are happening in the background. This Earth Alliance just need you now to do your part and to continue doing your part so that this whole flipping of the planet can happen smoothly and with the least loss of life. And it is going to. That's why we don't have a massive solar flash. That's why we don't have shocking events. That's why, the blow has been cushioned. The rollout is going to be smooth. There may be some rocky times. There may be some instability. There may be some chaos, but we all are ready for that. And we are ready to be the calm in the storm, because the storm, yeah, it's still coming. Don't you worry. There's going to be a big storm. And it's going to be glorious. So hang in there. Stay safe. Hold the line. Keep your wits about you. Stay grounded, stay centered. Keep yourself in a loving vibration. Take care of yourself and your body. Put yourself first. Put your oxygen mask on first. And we're going to do this. We're really, really going to do this. So I have lots of more news to share, but that's it for now. I've got to jump on another Zoom, make up for what I've missed. There's going to be one out with Honey C. Golden tomorrow, so keep a lookout for that. If any of you have any last minute questions, you can pop it into the comments, or I think that would be best. And I'll see if I can add that into some of the questions and topics we'll be discussing. So don't forget to subscribe and to like and to share if you like this content, so we can share the truth with others, because there are many, many people that are awakening every single day right now. And remember, the Telegram link is below as well for our Vivid Earth channel. If you want to stay updated and I have up to the minute news, that's the place to be. And there's also other people in the chat that can support you if you have questions, or it's just a beautiful educational news platform of uncensored news and inspiration. What else? I think that's it. If there's anyone that wants to join our Stanford retreat just outside of Cape Town at the end of the month, the link will be below. We have 2 spaces left. So you'll have to jump quickly if you do want to join. It's going to be magnificent. And that's really, really going to put you in a very strong position to keep you grounded, centered, high vibrational, build strong roots, so that we can sail through the rest of the year very smoothly. So with that, I'm sending you much love, and I'll speak to you soon.